Well, guess what day it is? Yes, sir. It is Teague's Take Tuesday, and we're glad to have you here tonight if you're watching the show live. And thank you to all those of you who have downloaded the podcast on your favorite podcast channel. Make sure you give us subscribes and likes, and we'll continue to work on giving you the best product that we can. This episode of Teague's Take, man, we got a lot of stuff we got to cover tonight. We got a very special guest. We got the Rocket Ismail on. We're going to cover a lot of things with him on the first half of the segment of the show, and then we'll come back. We got to talk some Dallas Cowboys, those linebackers, Van Der Esch. What's up with them? We got a great Money Matters segment with that, and we need to talk about these NFL revenge games, 2021. Which one is going to be the most exciting? So make sure you stay in tune and stay with us because our crew tonight includes obviously me, right? And JT, the analytical one. And to round up our team tonight, it's the big game. James is back with us again, and we're very fortunate to be able to have him here and give his input and work us through this too. But first, before we dive into all these things that I just said, let me give you my run out to kick off the show. So there's always been a lot of talk about what's more dangerous for athletes, the kickoff return or the punt return. And, you know, back in the day, man, you could run. People were lined up 10 yards. You were running circles. You were doing all kinds of things on the kickoff team to be able to go down and cover those kickoffs. And people were wedge busting, you know, just literally crashing into people, putting those big, heavy linemen in there together, and it was very, very dangerous to people, and that's why they've changed the rules now, right? So a newer way now in high school, you can only be back 5 yards at the most. You can run down. They do allow fair catches and things of that nature. And in the NFL, they've even moved it up to where you can only be 1 yard away from the line on the kickoffs. Now, I don't know if that makes any difference, and that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. But I want to be able to focus on the return man, and there's some differences that I hope that our panel can really talk about, because the returners are, in the kickoff return sense, it's basically like a 100-yard dash. They're not really running sideways. They're going straight on. You got guys running the other direction on a 65-yard sprint if you're coming from the 35 in the pros, or 60 at high school. And I don't know, I got to talk to JT about this so he can give me the physics of that, if there's a big difference in that, especially when you're talking about punt returns, because punt returns, you know what? I was able to do punt returns in high school. I wanted to do it in college. It got a little bit scary because the guys were kicking the ball way too high, and those people were coming at you full speed, right? But there's some differences in that too. College spread punts, everyone's releasing immediately. They're going down to the returners. In the pros, you can't have all the guys release like that. Sprint's a little bit different for the punt team. You know, they're averaging 40, 45 yards on a sprint. Remember, both people can do fair catches, especially with kickoffs returns as well now. So what I'm going to be posing to the panel is, if you got a kickoff return man running 100-yard dash, other guys running a 60-yard dash the other direction, they're going to meet head-to-head, versus a punt returner who could be going lateral, sideways, fair catch, standing still, get hit with someone who's running about 40 yards at them. Is it really more dangerous to be a punt returner or a kickoff returner, and has that changed over the course of time? All right, let's bring in the group to be able to talk about this right now. So, guys, you know, I know a lot of things have changed with this. Rocket, you were a star at Notre Dame in high school. You were returning kicks. You've known for some really, really big plays as wide receiver, but also as a return man. What do you think about what I'm saying? Is it more dangerous for a kickoff returner or a punt returner today? think you're muted.
Rocket, you got your mic on mute. Pulling a George Teague out here.
Well,
My bad. I'm up here talking all exciting. All right. I'm going to say, from my experience, personal experience, I'm going to say kickoff return. And I know a lot of in the modern day football game, the rules have changed for the safety, but guys still have it's like a full head of steam coming at you. And I'm just going to say, I don't understand all of the intricacies and differences from when I played in this modern game, but I would think it would be the kickoff returner probably being in a little more of a risky position than a punt returner. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I would add is, like you said, a lot of times the kickoff returner, your asset is just that straight ahead speed, where in punt returning, it's more quickness, and you can accelerate, not necessarily having to have the same speed that the guy who's returning the kicks has to have, but just being able to get to your top speed, stop on a dime, change, and then hit the hole if you see it. It's like, because of that, I think a kickoff returner is more at risk than a punt returner.
Okay. So, and JT, I know you did some returning in your days with football.
Yeah, and I was terrified of one of them.
Yeah. So I want you to, get, I guess, into the science of it, because most people, when you ask about it, they think punt returning is more dangerous. I'm just speaking in general, right? The things that you read, everyone thinks, well, the punt returner, he's looking up, he can't defend himself. So what do you think about that is there any difference if two people are running directly at each other and crash into each other versus someone being standing still and then getting blasted at the last?
There is. And I don't necessarily know the true like mathematical formula behind it, but the principles are that, it's not the speed that kills you. It's the change in speed that kills you. So if you're in a car and you hit a brick wall, it's not the fact that you were going 100 miles an hour. It's the fact that you were going 100 miles an hour to zero very quickly. So I'm sure you could do, the calculation to figure out, if you got one guy going this speed and the other guy going that speed and they hit each other, what is the change in speed then versus if you're standing still and the other guy's just going however fast they're running. My thought is just, intuitively, I think you do have to add in that when you are on a kick return, like, yes, you're running opposite directions at each other at full speed, but I think there's something to say about seeing that the collision is about to happen and being able to brace yourself versus, looking up and getting hit under the chin. You didn't know the guy was there. You were completely, unaware, and you were standing still. It's just the same as if you're in the wedge, which is also very dangerous. Or if you're a personal protector, right? You're not going anywhere, but it's easier to, get in a stance and lower your shoulder or whatever and absorb the hit than it is if you're just standing there and somebody just puts their helmet in your chest. So my thought is that.
Yeah, what's your answer here? You give me two. Which one is more dangerous, bro?
My answer is, if you are a returner, I think that punt return is more dangerous. I think if you're anybody else on the field, kick return is more dangerous.
All right, big game. We got a tie here. We got one that says kickoff return, one says punt return. Where are you at on this?
Man, I was going back and forth just listening because I know I returned punts and I know how I felt sometimes.
Man, you ain't return no punts. You ain't catch
I wasn't like y'all, but I was nice, dog. I wasn't like y'all, but I'll get on that field and I'll give y'all some work, man, for real. But hey, check this out. When you're looking at that ball, especially when that ball hangs in the air, you feel some kind of way. You just naturally feel some kind of way because you feel that heat getting ready to come near you. Okay, you feel it coming near you. So I think but here's my thing. You can fair catch it. So I think that does help you in the aspect that you can fair catch. If you're looking up, you can fair catch it, because I've seen plenty of guys where they know they about to get lit up and they throw that hand up for that fair catch. They don't want that action and they throw that hand up. Now, when you're kick returning, I mean, I feel like you got more of a vision to be able to see what's going on, but I also do feel like they are getting a longer distance of you're catching it, but they have a longer distance to run, and they're coming more at a full speed. Just like what Rocket said, when you do a punt return, you can catch it and kind of sidestep. You can kind of maneuver. You can kind of get out the way. It's like you can kind of, I feel like you can kind of control it a little more when you catch that punt to be able to do things. Whereas when you get the kick, it's kind of, you are just kind of running straight. You're not zigzagging. You're following where your wedge is kind of going. And them guys are coming 5-6 guys at like heat-seeking missile. And how many times have we seen dudes just get lit up when they catch that ball and run straight and bow? It's a bad collision. So for me, for the tiebreaker, I'm going to have to say kick returner is a little more vicious because those guys that are coming at you, there's like 5 or 6 of them coming at you just straight head speed. And you can get hit by 2 or 3 of them guys, not just one.
All right. Yes, sir. Okay.
Let me ask a question to Rocket. The biggest hit that you've taken, when was it? And what were you doing?
On the 2 of them, one with the Raiders on a kick return, and you're talking about professional career, I'm assuming. So my first year with the Raiders, a kick return, playoffs against the Broncos, and I remember I went to get the ball, and the guy in front of me fell, so I tripped over him, and then whoever was coming down speed for the Broncos, the crown of my head went straight into his thigh pad, and it jammed me up. Man, I think I experienced some miraculous situation there, because when they took me in immediately to do x-ray, the guys who were the technicians were like, oh my God, blah, blah, like they were like, what's happening? And so when they were looking at my cervical column, and so I instantly started praying. I was like, Lord, I don't want to go out like whatever he's saying, oh my God, about. They came back later, it was cool. The second time was with the Raiders. We're playing in Miami, and I'll never forget this. Gerard Bunch, they were, you know how if you're running the running play, just an offensive set, and they have somebody that's on fire on the defensive line. Sometimes they'll let him through and then trap him. And with the opposite side guard or tight end or whoever. And man, they decided to trap a cat named Bernie Parmalee, who was on fire at the time. He was like an undrafted, unrated guy, made his name on special teams for Miami, you know, just kind of an all-purpose dude. And he was come down on the kickoff return. So they're like, all right, we're going to set this cat up. We're going to, whoever normally is going to block him is going to let him go. Rock, you just keep running, and then it's going to time out. Bernie Parmalee is going to get waylaid by Jared Bunch. Yep. Man, I'm like, okay, trust the process.
Somebody missed.
I took off, and all I know is at some point in my strides, I saw abundant daylight. And it was crazy because it was an afternoon game, so it was already light outside. I was like, how am I seeing more light? Bruh, knocked me stone silly. And on the film, I couldn't remember anything after that. But on the film, I was crawling off the field. I got off the field. They took me back into the back, and they said I just started. I'm in the middle of a locker room. I started singing, started talking all loud, started just like I was high or something. And they said I was like that the whole way back. It was about a 6-hour flight back to Los Angeles, and I didn't remember everything or recall everything until the next day, or not 2 days later when we had the film session. And I was like, ain't this boy, you are a piece of work, Jared Bunch. You're supposed to block that man. And so that, to me, both of those were some of the most vicious pro hits that I had, and I experienced them as a kick returner.
All right. Well, that's a good word. That's a good word. I appreciate you sharing that. That's a great question, JT. And, you know, if we can go to, I want to show some other highlights really quick. So you can watch some of these. For those of you that are watching this live, you won't see it if you're checking this out a little bit later on, but we do want to go to video 1 with this, and you can see this guy's type of speed and the dynamic running ability that Rocket had. It just, I don't know if he's still this fast or not, but he was, a big play type dude. And Rocket, what I don't have on here are the highlights from the Raiders. And so while this is showing a little bit, can you kind of tell us about what that was like, man, when you get in there and you walk in there and, Tim Brown's there and you got James Jett and all these, man.
Bruh, let me tell you something. My first experience as a Raider that let me know that they were different than everybody else was when I came to work out for Art Shell and Terry Robisky. He was the offensive coordinator at the time. And I had heard that when I was going to work out, they were going to, they try to make it hard on you because I was in the CFL and all this stuff. Man, 5 minutes into the workout, this dude in an all-white polyester tracksuit comes out, and he has these dark glasses on, kind of has his hair like back when the Fonz and all them used to hang out on Happy Days, and it was Al Davis. And bruh, right as they were getting ready to give me all kinds of like, okay, we want you to do this. Al, from afar, he was probably about 55 yards away looking at us from a downfield perspective. He just was like, he did like this. After about 10 minutes, he's like, I've seen enough. Stop killing my guys. So after I was like, all of a sudden the workout was over. I was like, oh snap. That was the first one. The second one was I'm in Oxnard. No, I'm sorry, not Oxnard, El Segundo. And in El Segundo, it's the summertime. I moved out there and
did you leave your wallet?
You said what?
Did you lose your wallet?
Oh no, not in El Segundo, son. You got to get it. I got to get it. I understand the Tribe Called Quest reference. So all of a sudden, I'm in the locker room. I'm working out, whatever, and I'm finished. It's just me in the locker room, and so I put my towel on and I walk to the shower. As I walk through the shower and I get into the shower area, like in my mind's eye, I was like, did I just see some smoke? Like what? And so I backed out and I looked up the locker room, and there on his stool in front of his locker in his birthday suit was Greg Townsend. And he was smoking like a Benson and Hedges menthol light up in his camp, just puffing away like a regular cigarette, son. And in my mind, it was so confused. I was like, doesn't he know cigarettes could kill you? What is going on? And he just lets this big smile, and he had the gap before Michael Strahan made it famous. And he was like, yeah, Rook, I'm old school. What you know about that? I was like, nothing, sir. And I walked away. I mean, that stands out to me from my first Raiders experience more than anything else. Like it was that, and that let me know, yo, that this is a different organization. And then once I started playing with other organizations, I realized that the culture that the Raiders had was they were an organization and a team that was geared for veterans. Like everybody on the Raiders was somebody who at one point played with the Raiders, anybody in their organization, like they've been like the cat who's I think second in charge at the Raiders right now. When I was there, we were like the same age, bruh. He was just at the front desk and whatever the players needed, he was like Anthony, like a different version of Anthony, and it's alleged that when people got autographed mail in, some people would bring their pictures and give it to him to sign and pay him a couple $100. He'd go get Breck. Now he's the man like that. So their organization definitely cultivated people from the ground up, and that's why it's a lot of loyalty and stuff there. And if you're a young cat, though, back when I was there, if you were a young cat and you didn't know how to prepare yourself in the off season or how to maintain yourself during the season, and you kind of just followed one of the vets, it could lead you astray because they are already at a place where they know how to take care of themselves and they know how to make sure that whatever they need as far as their body to prepare their body to be productive, they already know how to do it, and you're learning that. So I learned a lot of stuff out there in Los Angeles, man. And I also learned that their fans, and this is crazy, doggone, we were at the Coliseum where SC plays, and SC is this like mega rich school, private school, but their school is like right next to the hood. And the Coliseum was in the hood. And anytime the fans, and after my first year, I think we were kind of a middling team. So if the other team was winning, man, a fight was going to break out. Trouble. And bruh, I just remember LAPD be in the stadium, and they would not go up into the stands to try to break up a fight until the whole squad was down there. Like at least there was 7 to 8 to 10 deep. Then they would go up because them fans, boy, they get a little firewater in them, son. It's over. So all those off the field experiences, on the field, in the locker room, and experiences were really cool. And just playing with the organization, you know, on that level, it was cool as well.
All right. So listen, so I want to ask Big James something, because we were talking about this before the show. You know, I was fortunate enough to be able to play with Rocket because he ended up coming to the Dallas Cowboys and a move to be able to do that. And I particularly have a favorite play of Rocket that I will share in a little while. But I wanted to see, Big Game, what do you think about the way this guy played? Is there something that stuck out with you when he came to the Dallas Cowboys?
I think the main thing I remember obviously was the speed. I mean, when we got the Rocket, my main thing was speed. And then, you know, you came in right after Michael Irvin. He had the big injury, really ended his career. So it was like we needed somebody to come in. And I thought you had a really good career. I mean, you came in, I think, your first year, you turned up. I think the only thing that really hurt you was the Achilles, I think, maybe the next year. But I love it. And I'm going to keep it real. Like we was just talking off air, but when that game, when y'all, the Cowboys played Washington and Dallas was getting cooked and getting killed, and Dallas fought all the way back, and then it was overtime, and Troy Aikman did that fake. I'm going to try to tell you, like when Troy Aikman did that fake, and then he threw that ball in the air, I was screaming loud.
Let's go ahead and show that really quick. Video 2.
Real Rocket.
We'll go ahead and hit this because this
Don't
is my
drop
favorite
it. Don't drop it.
Yo. Bruh.
I was screaming. But my thought, and I ain't hating on you, Rocket, but my thought was, you better not drop this.
So look at this. As this keeps rolling, Rocket, I want you to look at this clip right here. Look at these safeties running up. It's 3rd and 2, man, in overtime. We way down on the other end of the field. What are these?
Fake.
Bruh.
Great call.
If I can, the reason why you said don't drop it is because in the first quarter, we ran the same exact play.
And you dropped it.
And this is when I knew so man, there's so many things that I learned when I came to Dallas as far as organization. So I understood when I learned when I came to Dallas was culture trumps everything. And when I say culture, that's just the mindset, what the players vibe like and things of that nature. And so how I knew it trumped everything, and how if you have a successful culture and you're trying to transition or you're trying to evolve the culture, but the people who were the main cogs in the culture that you're trying to transition from, if they don't agree with it, man, it can make things harder than it has to be. And so that was the first thing I realized in that game and on that team. I was like, wait a minute, these cats don't like this as far as offensively I'm talking about. And so it was like, in order for any team or any family to be able to have the ability to prosper and do things significantly and have it long lasting, like everybody has to be on the same page because there's already enough externally coming against you. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I remember I got mesmerized by the pass. And so what happened was, and so I hold that place. Before that, the reason that play was set up like that because they still had the remnants of the old line that was powerful from back in the day when they was making them Super Bowl runs. Emmett still had gas in the tank. And so, man, he's making it happen. And I learned a trick when I was in Carolina. In Carolina, they were a really run heavy, basic type of team. But anytime we were going to run the ball, they always like, so what? We don't care if they know we're going to run the ball. And we want our receivers to have to block. So they always made us take really tight splits. And they were like, look, if a running back can't run over a doggone cornerback, he does not deserve to be in the NFL. So we need to go interfere with the safeties. So I would always come real tight and just make a beeline for the safety. And 8 times out of 10, the running back could handle the cornerback. So I say that to say, now we're in doggone FedEx Field at I forget where they had their stadium, brand new stadium, like supposed to be the toast of the NFL, high level in regard to the rivalry and NFC East and like all the things that I used to see from afar on television. I'm like, man, I'm in this mug. And the thing that I'll say before I even say anything else about that is I understood how it's important to be an alpha male, but to have the capacity to humble yourself or see when your alphaness can be a hindrance to your team. And I say that Michael Irvin was the embodiment of that. That brother could get anybody hyped. Like he could encourage anybody. He could make you feel a fire. But he also knew that the quarterback was in his position is supposed to be the man that is in control as far as the offense is concerned. So he had the capacity and he knew how to keep the line where he could fire everybody up, talk junk, whatever. But it was like he knew not to overstep that delicate balance so that when the quarterback is in there, everything's shut down, everything is in order, we're ready to go. So that play, first half, first quarter, man, it's hot outside. I'm like, it's about to be on. Drop back, play action. I'm in my split. I know they think it's going to be a run. Beeline for the safety, fake him out at the last minute, wide open. And Troy, you mentioned earlier when you said in college they used to punt the ball really high. Man, he threw a floated like high in the air. And it was like, it was this clear blue sky, I'll never forget. And I remember when I was looking up to track the ball, it was like, the best way I could describe it when I was a young boy, there would be times when I would just, what they would call a daydreaming. And it was just like your eye, you kind of get mesmerized. And it's almost like your brain is taking a nap. Well, my brain picked the wrong time to do it because all of a sudden, the ball is in the air and it's just like, I'm in La La Land out here in front of 70,000 people, and the ball literally, by the time it got to my hands, I just remember seeing it hit my hands really soft and just bounce off 1, 2 in slow motion, and it was like I had to take the walk of shame back to the huddle, son. It was so embarrassing, and I was like, "Ain't this a blip? I'm a new team, got to set a standard, trying to make the guys feel like I'm." Man, I go back to the huddle. Check this out. And this is when I knew that everyone in that huddle, the requirements that they had of each other to do their job was at the highest level. And it was like this. Big E, I think he was the right tackle. Man, we got back to the huddle. Nobody said nothing to me. Big E looked at me. He said, and I'm on the other side of him. He said, Rocket, catch that long ball. He said, and he had his arm was wrapped up because he used to smack
with that glove
in the head. Bruh, he reached back and he smacked me like right across my head neck area. And for the rest of the first half, and I had injured my shoulder in training camp about a month earlier, bruh. For the rest of the first half, I could not feel my entire left arm from like the neck down. But now we fast forward to the play, and let me tell you something. The other thing that was so amazing, I remember in the huddle when we were down by whatever amount of points we were down, there was never, ever any, oh man, they beating us down, man. Let's mail it in. It was such a level of, all right, we got this. And the alpha, Michael Irvin, I remember him being in a huddle, and literally they matched Darryl Green up against me, and they matched Champ Bailey up against him. And I remember them being in the huddle, and he would be like, Troy, I'm gonna hit him with the stick, left third, I'm coming around, then I'm gonna be open on the right. Bruh, Troy would be like, all right, Mike. Man, bruh, 3 times. Once was a critical first down, and the other 2 times were touchdowns. When he said that, when he came in the huddle and that happened, I was like, man, these cats are another level. Now all of a sudden we coming back, it's overtime, bruh. All of it. So before we get to that,
You got 1 minute, Rock. You got 1 minute, Rock. Before I got to take a break.
After I dropped that pass, I remember going back to Troy on the sideline, and I was like, bruh, whatever you do. I was like, I don't know why I dropped that ball. I was like, do not stop throwing the ball to me. And I remember Troy was eating some pumpkin seeds. He's like, oh man, oh yeah. He said spit it out. He said, I'm not like that. Because I know he knew other quarterbacks are like that. He's like, I'm not like that. Don't even worry about it. Bruh, they called that first play in overtime, took the split in the huddle. Emmett was like, Rocky, go get that mother, blah, 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 blah. Man, that ball was in the air. But this time, Troy took a little of the loft off of it and made it more direct to me. Yep. Bruh, caught that mug, went in the end zone. That was the last time I saw Troy Aikman smile in my life. And that was the last time I remember anything about the Washington Redskins, because we never lost to them when I was there after that.
Yeah, hey man, that is an amazing story, and I tell you what, being there in that game and watching that happen, and I'm sitting on defense, so I don't know the call. I'm just watching, trying to figure out what's going on, and then all of a sudden I see this go. Oh my gosh, you talk about it, excitement. Well, there's a lot more stuff that we need to talk about, and there's more things we definitely want to talk to you about, and we'll try to intertwine that a little bit. But we need to take a short break right here and let pay us a bill or two. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Sit tight.
ProfoundSites.com for your personal and commercial needs. Websites built, repaired, secured, maintained, and found. Brent Thomas and ProfoundSites.com provide e-commerce development, website development, online marketing, web, mobile, and e-commerce consulting. With over 10 years experience, Profound Sites is responsible for creating GeorgeTeague.com, where you can hear Teague's Take with George Teague every week. Brent Thomas and Profound Sites can take you through the entire pain-free process of building your new website. From initial discussion to planning, design, to coding and making your site live and discoverable on the internet. Contact Brent Thomas at ProfoundSites.com or email him at brent@ProfoundSites.com.
Hey, thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for hanging in there with us for a short break. Man, it was such a great first half right there, and I already know now we're gonna have to bring him back because the stories that he has, and there's so many different questions that I still need to ask and try to squeeze in.
I got one too, but it's so far off topic.
Yeah, it don't matter, man, because you know, I'm not going to ask him now, but we'll try to tease it in there later if we get through early with some of these other segments. But I'm really trying to figure out if he thinks Notre Dame is ever going to catch up with Alabama or not. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
Well, I see everybody's head. Maybe I don't even need to ask the question.
You already know that. Come on. You already know that.
But before we do that, we need to talk some Cowboys stuff, some other stuff. You know, the OTAs are going on. Guys are out running around. And this is the segment that many of our fans really look forward to. And this is what we call Money Matters. In our Money Matters segment today, we need to talk about, have the Cowboys lost faith in Van Der Esch? JT, take it away.
Yeah, so I keep my ear to the ground. I lurk on the forums and the message boards, and there's a lot of rumors that Van Der Esch. Well, there's a lot of fact that we know that the Cowboys have declined Van Der Esch's 5th-year option, which makes this year a contract year. There are also rumors that Jalen Smith may be traded before the season even starts. And there's rumors that Van Der Esch should be traded before the season even starts. And then you couple that with, the Micah Parsons pick in the 1st round, and then they picked up another linebacker in the 4th round. And then we talked about Keanu Neal coming in, and Dan Quinn has already said Keanu Neal's not playing safety, he's playing linebacker. So, the Cowboys, 70% of their snaps last year, they played with 2 linebackers on the field, and now you've got 5 guys to fill 2 spots. And, it's a little bit of a crowded room now. So I want to get your thoughts on Van Der Esch, and, mine are just we've seen both linebackers, Jalen and Leighton, at their highest level of play, and we've also seen them at their lowest levels. Leighton Van Der Esch, at least in some of the circles that I've been in, have just been called the new Sean Lee, not being able to stay healthy, missing a whole bunch. And I think since his 1st year, he's actually played fewer and fewer games each subsequent year. But the Cowboys clearly felt that the linebackers were a problem, and not picking up Leighton Van Der Esch's 5th year seems to be the writing on the wall, saying that Van Der Esch may very well not be a Cowboy when the season starts.
Well, let's see. So, big game. Why don't you, first of all, because you have your own podcast and you talk a lot of Cowboys stuff and all that, why don't you tell us where people can find you if they want to tune in to, to your show as well?
Yeah, you can check me out at Silver and Blue Nation, YouTube, Facebook. We have that, and my Big Game James page also on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, but mainly Silver and Blue Nation, the YouTube and Facebook. Go ahead and support. We got a lot of good Cowboys. George be on there, former Cowboys, interviews, all that good stuff. And we just talk it hot and heavy, and we just try to keep it as real as we can.
Yes, sir. It's a great show. I do encourage everyone to go in because they do keep it real, and I love it on what he does. So what do you think about this? I know that you talk a lot of stuff, big game. What do you think about what JT's saying with Van Der Esch and our linebacker group?
I mean, the writing was on the wall when they drafted Parsons and Cox. And, I think that's what – I feel like when they got Dan Quinn, they wanted to go back to being the Marinelli apologist for 2018. We apologize. We sorry. We want to get back to these guys playing free. We so sorry, Rob Marinelli. We ain't mean to do that. We're going to bring another guy, going to let y'all play free. So that was, I feel like, the experiment. But here it is, just like what JT said. He's played, 48 games, and he's missed 15, I think already, 14 or 15 games already. Each year, his tackles have gone down from 140 to 72 to 60. The play on the field has declined. You can see it. And I think the biggest thing is the injury. We were all waiting for him. He played. They put him at the mic. We were excited. Let's see what Van Der Esch can do. And what happened? First game, broke his collarbone. And it was like first couple play. I don't even know if it was a contact injury. And I just feel like once you've been an injured player, I've talked about this before with other people. Once you've been an injured player, and he's pretty much been an injured player since college and even back to high school days, you're always going to be an injured player. And I think the Cowboys, and we know Stephen Jones, he ain't spending no $9.1 million on a 5-year option. Stephen Jones ain't doing that. So I just feel like, you know what? And we say, just like JT said, 2 linebackers are on the field. Who's it going to be? They're going to push Micah Parsons. He's the number 12 draft pick. So he's got to be playing the majority of the snaps. So that's one linebacker that has to be on the field. Who's going to be your second guy? If Cox comes in and shows anything with that coverage that he showed in college, yeah, the writing is going to be on the wall, because at the end of the day, he's been an injury-prone player that you cannot rely on, and his play has went down. I think they'll look at Dan Quinn to see if he can bring any kind of semblance back. But even if he does play good, they're going to get him at a cheaper rate if they do anything with him.
Mm-hmm. Say, Rocket. So you've been in the organization as well, and I'm curious to see what you think about, the Jones family. They tend to be very loyal to people that they bring in, even older. I don't want to specifically compare it to Sean Lee and the injuries and how long he actually stayed on the team. But do you think they'll have the same kind of love and show the patience, for Van Der Esch because of who he is and how they showed the love and brought him in, a few years ago?
Well, I think because of what happened to Sean Lee and what they've learned from that, even though you have great potential and when you're on the field, everything is like, especially those first couple years are magical, that is not going to be, they learn from that, okay, man, stuff happens. And if you don't produce, if you have elite level potential, but for whatever reason aren't able to reach that, and it's going into year 4, then you got to show us before we commit to you. So not that they love them less, they're just being smarter about business. And so I really feel like that setup is why it's imperative in the Cowboys mindset to, hey, let's see what happens. Hey, we know he's not going to be homeless. He got a house and people, he got enough money to survive right now. And so he'll be fine. But before we commit, let's make sure that everything is above board. And I feel like the pressure is on, even when you said the rumors about Jalen earlier. I feel like when the NFL has, because Jalen is that high energy guy, positive, like making things happen. But when you watch the Super Bowl, and I forget his name, but number 45 for the Buccaneers, like that dude was dominating
roll,
the
boy. He
game.
fast. Ooh-wee.
I'm an offensive cat, like, yo, 45 is everywhere. And I feel like they expect that out of Jalen. Like they expect him to be everywhere. They feel like he has everywhere energy and that he has that everywhere potential. So
that wasn't happening.
Now that hasn't shown, I feel like that is possibly what can be fueling the rumors about trades and things of that nature.
So just the last point, I guess, to everybody, just real quick. Do you really think that Jerry Jones or Will McClay, the head of personnel people, that they will really put both of those guys on the bench this
I don't
year?
believe so. I just feel like they're looking to see what's going to happen with Dan Quinn. They want to see how they're going to play. But I mean, honestly, when I look at Micah Parsons, I feel like they want Micah Parsons. They want Jalen Smith. They want Micah Parsons. It's almost like what Jalen Smith can't do. They feel like, okay, we got Micah Parsons, because in my opinion, Jalen Smith goes hard and he's been durable, but when I still watch him, I feel like that leg is still a hindrance and he cannot do those things like a Micah Parsons can naturally do. And I feel like that is what is standing out more than anything. Even when you watch it, he cannot do those certain things. And now you got a player that can, and I feel like they're going to see how Micah Parsons can play this position. If he can, then it's not going to be a big thing to move on. But I don't feel like they're just going to bench him, because the Cowboys, they're going to need depth. Injuries happen. If you get rid of one of those players or something like that, who's the backups?
So if Michael Parsons is the start on day one, and this is the question, who is he replacing, Jaden Smith or Van Der Esch? Just
he's replacing Jalen Smith at the mic.
All right,
and
what do you say,
I feel like
Rocket?
Van Der Esch is going to be the weak side.
All right, what do you say?
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
Is Quinn 3-4-4-3? What's his setup?
He's 4-3.
He's 4-3.
But he's going to have that 3-4
Oh.
principles in there. He's going to mix it up, but he's 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, JT, I know it's your topic, but based upon what I just said and what you're listening to here, what do you think? If there's one, I know this is about LVE and all the stuff, but there's some good points about both of those linebackers.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on the question because I think I agree with Big Game that if Michael Parsons is going to be starting day one, it's probably going to be at the expense of Jalen Smith. My thought though is, if you're going to be business savvy, if you're going to get
limit
rid
their
of one
reps.
of the
Don't let
linebackers.
them get the film. Don't let them make the plays, and you can offer them less money. That where you're
No.
going with this?
Nope. I'm saying if you're going to get rid of one of them, you need to trade.
Play him and make him marketable.
No, you need to trade LVE today because if
Oh,
he gets
okay.
hurt,
Yeah, you're right. He could
gets
get hurt
hurt,
the first play,
and
and then
he's
you
gonna-
mess everything up.
you can hang that up. You're not getting because then you're not going to want to sign him back. So then you just lost a linebacker for free. Like if LVE's tradable value right now is as high as it's going to get, unless he balls out and stays healthy the entire year. And if you're the Cowboys, you're like, oh, I'm not sure. That's why we declined the option. Then you need to go ahead and try to get something back for him. And you've already extended Jalen Smith, and you're on the hook for like $9.8 million this year. So I feel like he's not that. Michael Parsons is not going to be the day one starter. I think they'll work him in there, and we'll figure it out pretty quickly on who can play Mike and who can't.
Hey man, we got Tampa Bay first, and when you start seeing 45 running around out there, we're
yeah.
gonna be like, hey.
I forgot about that.
So, Rocket, you got the last word on this topic.
Okay, so for me, I want to know, and I don't know this, hopefully you do, are the salary cap wise, is it impossible to have Van young Micah, and Jalen in the same defensive linebacker room? Like, is it?
No, I mean,
financially
as of
not
today, they're
feasible?
doing it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's feasible, and man, what you got to lose? I mean, we trying to work on this year, not thinking about what's going to happen next year. Like, let's win right now. So I think unless there's something out there that's so attractive, and like you said, Van Der Esch's value is so high at this point that you can't pass it up, man.
Well, I'll tell you
See
what
what
I
you got.
worry about with Van Der Esch outside. I don't get to make this decision, but I'm always worried about anytime linebackers begin to have neck problems. And he had the neck issue because I know you ain't supposed to tackle with your head in there and all that kind of stuff, but it's a big boy game. When that neck is in there and you go in there and you hit, or someone, that big lineman gets up on you, 320, whatever, and he coming full force and you trying to defend yourself, man, those are, things that are very hard to overcome if you have any kind of stingers in your neck and all that kind of stuff. So great conversation, fellas. Excellent Money Matters piece. But before we go to the next topic, I need to talk to you about 3R Sports Graphics. They were founded in 2018 by Tyler Sanders. He provides affordable graphic content tailored for individual schools to promote high school and collegiate programs. He does a lot with the TAPS programs. I think he has over 30 schools in TAPS alone, and he has people all over the country. So you guys make sure that you, at the end of this, make sure you really take this information so you can reach out to him. He deals, if you were with them, you deal with the designer for the 3R graphics team from the initial project idea delivered all the way to the final project. 3R Sports Graphics. They're here to help you with your social media graphics. You've seen those if you watch Teague's Take or my personal Twitter account. I use him as well. So won't you guys give him a visit on his website at 3rsportsgraphics.com, or you can email Tyler, the owner. That's good. See, you're going to get the customer service at tsanders2405@gmail.com, or follow them on Twitter. He's a big social media presence. That's 3R Sports Graphics 1 on Twitter. 3R Sports Graphics and the number 1. All right, so we want to get into the final play now, and this is a fun topic for us, and this is about the revenge game. So I'm going to ask our panel here on what do they think about if they could, give me the game that they're going to be most interested in seeing when it comes to revenge game. So there's five games that all have this deal. You got Tom Brady going back to play the Patriots. We got the Cardinals, right? So that's Andre Hopkins and J.J. Watt. They're now they will be playing the Texans. That'll be our second game. There was I don't know how many people of y'all already watched the drama that was going on with the draft. But the Eagles traded up, kind of took the spot, took the pick. It really changed the whole dynamic of the draft. But the Eagles are going to be playing the Giants. They're, what is that going to look like? Then, of course, the Lions and the Rams, they're switched quarterbacks. They're going to face each other. And then Jameis Winston going back to Tampa if he wins the starting job in New Orleans to play Tampa Bay. So we got 5 games. Let's bring them back in and see, of those 5 games, what is most intriguing to everyone. A lot of people, of course, always talks about Tom Brady going back and playing the Patriots, things of that nature, but there's still some other pretty good games. The networks, or I don't know if the NFL or whoever picked these games, I think they did this to try to get their ratings up with so many of this, revenge game kind of thing. So I'm going to go to JT first. Of the ones that we said, which one is most intriguing to you that you're going to be looking forward to see next year?
This was tough. I know Tom Brady's return back to New England is supposed to be, a big deal, but I mean, the Patriots kind of suck now. So I'm not like, I don't know.
What about this? What about this offseason they just had now? They picked up a ton of people, man. And, I don't even know all the guys, but I know they picked up 2 tight ends. It seems like he's going back to his old ways. Some wide receivers. You got Cam, then you got Mac Jones going in. I mean, he tried to.
Yeah, I mean, but one of them was a Super Bowl winner and the other one didn't make the playoffs. That's all right.
All right.
I'll catch the highlights. I'm the one that I really think that nobody else is going to agree with me on, but I think it's good for me. It's going to be the Lions and the Rams, only because those are both like mid-level teams that literally just swap quarterbacks. So I think you can actually like draw a line and be like, yeah, we had this big debate on like who won that trade. We're going to find out pretty quick. Like, they might be 2 terrible teams, but they're 2 terrible teams that swap quarterbacks, and one of them is going to be a little bit more terrible than the other one. And I'm more interested to see what that looks like. Because, I mean, the Giants and the Eagles, you're going to get twice. Yeah, there was a little bit, draft pick snubbery, but, in the NFC East, that happens all the time. And I've already forgotten. You said the
Winston,
or
the Watson, the Texans.
I'm not worried about the Texans either. The Texans are hot garbage. Everything about their organization is a mess. Yes. They shouldn't even be able to field a team at this point.
Exactly.
See,
okay. So you're saying you're taking the Lions Rams game.
Yeah, and I guess the close second would be Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay, just because, Mr. 30 for 30. I guess like if their first game is at home in New Orleans, so like if he ends up pulling that off, that would be the Bucks will never hear the end of it.
Yep. So let me go to Rocket, and then we'll come to you after that big game. Let me go to Rocket of those games. What do you think?
Okay, so a slight variation, JT, for me, I feel like the Patriots is the premier revenge game. Patriots Bucks, that game to me has all the makings of the revenge. Man, it's going to be so amazing to see the culture setter and Bill Belichick, and then the culture setter 1A and Tom Brady down in Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady has the dogs on his team. We'll see if Belichick does, but based on the culture that he set and the precedent in the past, man, he can be. I'm not doubting him. So that's my number 1 game. My number 2 game, Stafford and Goff, Lions, Rams. Man, that to me is going to be a big deal because, I feel like we'll see who the superior coaching is come through. Both of them have good arm talent. I give the slight edge to Stafford. My 3rd game, the Houston Texans, to me, that's irrelevant. They're Cardinals. That's nothing. And I was going to say that about Tampa Bay playing against the
Saints.
Saints
Yep.
with Jameis, and I initially I was going to say, oh, that's no big deal because Jameis. I mean, even though he was in Tampa Bay, he wasn't what we probably could have been, and so. But I am interested for this fact. I love what, from a creativity standpoint, offensively, I love what Sean Payton does.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see what Sean Payton's offensive creativity and his mindset is when he has, whether it's Jameis, I don't know. I think they draft a young guy. They drafted like the boy from Notre Dame.
Ian Book.
So him or your
Boo.
boy out of
Book.
Boo.
Not that great of a quarterback.
I watched him play.
he's
Stop
not
it,
that great
man.
quarterback in regards to what these other guys have done. But I'm just saying the mind that Sean Payton has makes that intriguing to me.
Well,
So because of Sean Payton, I'm going to bring that back in and say that's my third game against the Bucks, but not because of James.
okay. Well,
Jameis has LASIK now. You know, he can see. He might not
Stop.
see him.
now.
I'll say I was
Doing
wanting to see if
that ball.
Peyton, if Sean Payton will allow him to throw 30 touchdowns or 35 touchdowns and, and 28 interceptions, if he's going to accept that or not. He's not used to that.
No, Sean Payton is not going to allow him to throw
Yeah,
it.
Yep.
They'll put up with that.
Big game. You close us out on this. What do you think about these games? I know you didn't get the script beforehand, so if I need to repeat them, let me know.
No, it's all good. I'm gonna go against the grain against all y'all. I know everybody said the matchups. Who don't care about this one? Yeah, you won't care about this one, but I'm gonna throw it out there. The Houston Texans and Cardinals, and this is why I'm gonna bring it up because everything that's going on with Deshaun Watson, it's going to be interesting to see if he can actually play. Let's say he does play. I think it does bring a little bit because J.J. Watt, that was his whole time he played in Houston. DeAndre Hopkins, his whole career, Houston. This going to be, I don't care. I think it's still going to be personal for them. And if Deshaun Watson does not play, I think it gets even more interesting because then I feel like it's going to be a situation where the Cardinals are really going to try to put some real fire onto the Texans.
Go try to run it up. They're going to try to run it up.
It's going to be one of them real personal games because I feel like those guys, J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins, I think they were held in a high esteem with Houston. And I think it's going to add more flavor to it in that matchup. And a lot of people may not be talking about it, but I think it's going to be one of those real interesting type games where Houston might play out of their mind just because of those guys playing over there. So that's the reason why I'm throwing in there, and it make it even more interesting if Deshaun Watson can play in that game because I would like to see Watson and Murray go against each other, especially with Watson not having Hopkins and he's on the other side of the field. Especially if Watson is playing quarterback and he got J.J. Watt going after him. That's going to be interesting. If he can play, what if he goes off and throws for 500 on him? I think it's going to be interesting, so I'm going to pump it up for y'all, even if y'all didn't do it.
Yes, sir. You got JT up here shaking his head.
I know.
Watson ain't throwing for no 500 yards.
Hey, you don't know that? You don't know that?
I'll say he's going to end up throwing an interception. He's going to throw.
Oh, he's going to throw an interception.
Touchdown. It's going to go right to Watt.
Oh, but what if he play out of his mind and everybody going like the Cardinals going to kill him? And what if he play out of his mind? I
like everything you guys have said.
And this, JT.
I know, but so listen, I'm going to throw another wrinkle into that game. I mean, I like all of them, and I'll finish it out with this. But the way Bruce Arians coaches, he will try to set those guys up. So I could see him putting Hopkins on a reverse double.
Bruce Arians coaches him.
I'm sorry.
Like Kingsbury?
Yeah, Kingsbury. I could see him doing something very tricky to try to give these guys some, firepower. But anyway, so what I want to see is I really just want to see the end of the game of TB12 and Belichick. I want to see what that handshake's going to be like after someone loses. Are they really going to come out to each other and say it's all
I'm
good
not
or
sure
not, or
because
it's gonna
Bruce
be-
Arians will actually. Bruce Arians is the one coach in the NFL that will run up the score.
Yeah, especially with this, and because Belichick do it, so and especially with Arians against Belichick, Arians gonna come nasty with it.
Yeah,
If Bruce
see.
Arians has a chance to hang 50, he will hang
Oh, yeah.
50.
Well,
It's
he
gonna
said
be
that.
big,
That's what he's
yeah.
trying to do. 48 is the minimum. So I'm really kind of see what that's going to look like. But hey, guys, we got it. That was the final play. We really, really appreciate all of you guys' input and for everyone for joining in on this show. Next week, we got a new person coming in. I call him my friend. I call him my roommate, teammate, Mario Morris. He played at the University of Alabama as a starting linebacker. He is now an athletic director with the Fighting Irish, and we're going to be talking
wow.
a lot of things with him because he has a lot of information that we can be talking about regarding guys getting paid and things of that nature. So make sure you guys tune in, download the podcast, hit that subscribe, likes, get all the alerts, and we look forward to seeing everybody live on YouTube and Facebook next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Central Time. See you guys. Peace out. Subscribe to our feed at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening now. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Teague's Take Podcast. Remember to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the stream. Stay engaged by following us on Instagram and Twitter at Teague's Take, where you can keep up to date with news postings and other live content.